Without divine enlightenment, knowledge ends in disaster. If we could only put the brakes on our speeding minds, we would feel rested and be more receptive to divine grace. Without a divine enlightenment, knowledge will only bring disaster. The minds of those who work spiritually upon themselves, who struggle spiritually, are enlightened by God. Instead of their own ideas, they are provided with divine enlightenment, with divine experiences, and they can see from afar. A short-sighted person can perceive clearly what is very close, but not what is far away. A person with good eyesight can see at a distance, but this in itself is not a big accomplishment. Physical eyes are 2 in number, spiritual eyes are many. Those who distance themselves from Christ are deprived of divine enlightenment, because they foolishly exchange a sunny place for a sunless one. This is why they suffer from spiritual colds and other such spiritual ailments. If we are not purified, if we do not receive divine enlightenment, all our knowledge, no matter how sound it is, will amount to nothing. As I see it, it will be nothing more than rationalism. If there is no divine illumination, whatever we may write or say will not help others. Consider, for example, the Psalter. It is written with a divine enlightenment. How profound are its meanings! Gather together as many theologians and philologists as you want. They will not be able to compose one psalm with that kind of spiritual depth. King David was illiterate, but you can see clearly how he was guided by the Spirit of God. The church is suffering today because divine illumination is missing, and people understand things as it suits them. The human element gets involved, passions are aroused, and then the devil comes and thrashes out. That is why people who are governed by their passions should not seek to govern others. In other words, Geranda, should people constantly seek enlightenment from God? Yes, because otherwise the solutions they give to their problems will be nothing more than the work of their minds. This leads to confusion. Conferences and symposia take place all the time. And the sad thing is that most of these people have never known themselves. All the knowledge in the world cannot rival the importance of self-knowledge. The more we look at ourselves humbly, the more others will recognize our worth. If people really knew themselves, they would see the sorry state of their souls, and they would be silent. Once a man complained to me, there isn't a single Orthodox person to represent Orthodoxy in conferences abroad. He went on and on, as if it were the end of the world. I said to him, when God asked Prophet Elijah, "What are you doing here on Horeb, Elijah?" he answered, "I am the only one left and they seek my life." And God replied, "There are 7,000 people in Israel who have not bowed to worship Baal. There were 7,000 faithful people, and the prophet Elijah was saying that he was all alone. You, likewise, are in despair despite the existence of so many faithful. Who do you think our own Pantocrator is? Is he like the icon of the Pantocrator on the dome of a church that has been damaged by an earthquake and needs to be restored by the archaeological service?" In America, the man replied, "There is no one." I answered, "But I have got to know many faithful people from America." "Yes," he answered, "but the Catholics are always plotting against us. What I know is that many Catholics are disappointed with papism and are returning to Orthodoxy." I said, "Isn't it true that when Patriarch Demetrius visited the United States, many Catholics were saying, 'The patriarch is a true Christian while the Pope is a merchant? Weren't they speaking out of indignation? Are you saying that Catholics are always plotting to enter Orthodoxy in order to adulterate it? Where is God in all this? Can the devil ever prosper? Unfortunately, Western rationalism has influenced Greek Orthodox leaders. Some among them are members of the Eastern Orthodox Church only with their body. In truth, they belong, heart and mind, to the West, which they see as reigning over the secular world. If they could see the West spiritually with the light of the East, the light of Christ, then they would see the spiritual twilight of the West. The West is gradually losing the light of the Noetic sun of Christ himself and slipping into darkness. Some among our leaders are engaging in endless discussions on issues that need no discussion, issues that even the Holy Fathers never addressed. All such gatherings and conferences are the work of the devil. They are meant to confuse and scandalize the faithful, and drive some of them to heresies and others to schisms, so that the evil one can gain more ground. Ah, the misery and confusion these leaders cause. And where does it all begin? First, we neglect our spiritual work. Then we become convinced that we are really spiritual, and in the end we come up with all sorts of nonsense. A child does not know much, but its mind is naturally pure, and it says the right thing. By contrast, a highly educated person whose mind has been fumigated by demonic influence will say the most blasphemous things. People who constantly sharpen their mind with secular knowledge and distance themselves from God turn their mind into a double-edged sword. With the one side, they are slowly killing themselves. With the other, they cut people to pieces with the absolute nature of the solutions devised by their human brains. Human knowledge can benefit us only when it is blessed by God and made holy. Otherwise, it is only a human construct, the work of a mind ruled by a secular person. A mind untouched by holiness is like an iron rod that has lost its magnetic power and resorts, without success, to striking and crushing things in order to magnetize them. This is the state of today's world. People see everything through the prism of cold logic. This kind of logic is really destructive. Doesn't the Apostle Paul write, "Knowledge puffs up"? If we lack divine enlightenment, our knowledge is useless. In fact, it brings disaster.